My name's Scott. I'm an academic. I'm a journalist. I'm an activist. But it's not just about me. Anyone here can be the journalist, the activist, the accountant in the front row, the students, the taxi driver in the back row, even you, sir, the engineer who's trying to hide from me. Let me tell you a story. It's a story that starts in January on a cold night in Birmingham when I'm sitting and suddenly my wife on her Facebook feed says, "You need to have a look at this." Now, if you can't hear him, I'm going to mime for you. That is Stephen Emerson, who is a terrorism expert from the United States, talking on Fox News. And what Mr. Emerson is telling us is that Birmingham is a no-go area. Apparently, there are no non-Muslims in this city of millions of people, only people of the Islamic faith. I sit and I look at my wife, who is not a Muslim, and I say, well, how about that? My daughter, who's on the sofa and usually doesn't watch news, but she perks up because she is also not a Muslim and said, "Oh, really?" We had friends calling us that night who are Muslims, congratulating us on our conversion. Allah Akbar, inshallah, we had joined the fold. Well, how about that? But the story doesn't end there. Because of new media, social media, and all of us who are journalists, suddenly on Twitter comes Fox News Facts. Britain must be an Islamic country because the Queen is forced to wear hijab by the Sharia police. But it's not just women. Look at that poor fellow, forced to wear male hijab. Buildings now have to have burqas. And the tallest mosque in Britain apparently is in our own fair city, although you'll have to tell me what BT stands for in the Islamic faith. It even has infiltrated our football clubs in Birmingham. Apparently, this Islamic gentleman, one Roy Keane, had snuck in and imposed Sharia on one of our football teams, which explains why Birmingham doesn't have anyone in the top half of the Premiership. Horror of horrors. Okay, why does this interest me? Because since 2008, I have been working, in fact, created something called EA WorldView. The belief that as an academic, I did not have to simply wait for several months or a year for my ideas to come out, my input into what is happening both close to us and far away. The belief that others did not have to wait either. So with a group of people, each and every day since November 2008, we've covered the news. We've tried to offer some understanding of it and ask others for their understanding, be that on the politics around Syria, or unfortunately, the massive number of deaths, the violence, the chemical warfare that occurred only this week. We cover Iran and whether or not we will have resolution or, heaven forbid, a breakdown, violence, and war. We cover Israel, the elections in which this fine gentleman, I don't quite recognize him, but he looks quite happy. So we asked, should he be happy? And perhaps, should the rest of us be? Well, we cover Iraq, and we even cover Russia, and occasionally, yes, we cover Birmingham. Because we believe that the news is not just something which is just, as the New York Times put it, something fit to print, to be delivered to us. The news is something in which we can choose what we observe and choose how we participate. And the news does not always have to be about violence and conflict and depression, because in making the news, for example, we can find joy instead of despair. We can find laughter instead of sorrow. We can find hope in the most unusual places and the most usual places across the world, such as Britain. Now, a group of British Muslims said, we're going to take Pharrell Williams happy, and we're going to give an image to the world which is not that of no-go areas and Sharia law and crazed extremists, stroke jihadists, stroke dangers to society. We're going to show what Muslim life is really like. This video went viral last year, and other videos followed. From the Gaza Strip, and not just from Gaza, the next location we'll go to, well, let's find out, Syrian refugees in Jordan and in Iraq. And one more example from another part of the world, the land of the Ayatollahs, the supposed mullahs wishing great death to all of us, and somehow they too in Tehran were dancing to Pharrell Williams and happy. It's not all happiness. I don't want to be an internet utopian up here. I don't want to say that we can simply wish away the problems of the world. For example, some of the people in this video were arrested within days of making it. The women for not wearing hijab, the men for daring to make something which had been influenced by the West. But social media protested about that as well. Those people were released, and by spreading their case around, it promoted the ideas that they were trying to espouse. It promoted the idea that the Islamic Republic was not just simply a place of repression. So how do we take both the upside of being happy and the downside, that sometimes people are arrested, that wars continue to occur, that there are environmental problems? Well, the fact of the matter is that those people who have power, or some of those who have power, will continue to try to hold it by any means necessary. Some people who try to aspire to power will commit abuses to try to get there. There will be those who, instead of pursuing freedom, will pursue repression. Those who, instead of pursuing equality, will go for corruption. But does that mean that we stop? Does that mean that we simply let the news pass over us? Absolutely not. We don't let the news pass over us. Instead, we actually find the possibilities. This is not a sprint, it is a marathon. But it is a marathon without a finish. We will never reach an endpoint where wars are gone, where poverty is alleviated. But does that mean that we stop the race? Absolutely not. The important thing is to feel that one is empowered, that one can continue to make a difference even in the most difficult of circumstances, that the goal in itself is to continue to try and to believe. So, for example, I saw this in June 2009, June the 15th, 2009 to be precise, from the Iranian capital, Tehran. It was on that day that millions of people came out in the Islamic Republic because they felt that an election had been rigged, that their choice for president had not been recognized. They would not sit silent. They would not let the Iranian state news agencies tell them that, oh, this election was absolutely fair and must be recognized. Those voices were raised to be recognized. And because of the power of new and social media, millions of Iranians were recognized. Now we know that since then, the leadership of the Green Movement, calling for reform, calling for change, has been imprisoned. We know that there are some of those protesters who would later be killed. But yet their voices continue to be heard each and every day. It's something that I, in my own small way, can report on. In other words, this is a world in which we no longer have to choose to sit back and simply receive from others and say, okay, we'll walk away. Each and every one of you has the choice, be it in Iran, be it in the United States, be it in Norway, South Africa, or Birmingham, to be involved through new and social media, to know that there are various ways that you in your small way can learn and then spread what you have learned to others. In doing so, while realizing that the race is always run, while realizing that the climb is always made, that we never reach Martin Luther King's mountaintop, but that it is the climb itself that is worthwhile, we find a world which in each and every way for us can be amazing. I leave you with Egypt 2011 with a bit of amazing. I thank you for listening. Go out and do something special yourselves. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Scott Lucas. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, subscribe, spread the word, send ideas.